Good morning, everyone. It's the West Ham Minds channel. It's the player ratings show. Got my good friend Frankie with me.
How
I'm
are you,
hanging
mate? You
in
good?
there. Yeah, I had a late night last night because my son went to the game and then I usually wait for him. He came really quick, couple of hours. He was home around 11. And then, yeah, spoke to him about the game and what was going on and all that kind of thing. And we cracked open a bottle and I was there till about 2:30 at night, mate. And then,
Nice.
had to drop the missus off to the station and where I work, a lot of my team's away on holiday, so it's been a bit. Yeah, a few things have gone wrong this morning, as I always do, trying to fix them,
Yeah.
mate. But that's it. Were you there last night, mate?
I didn't, mate. I didn't go. No, I looked at the
Cool.
weather and made a decision not to, which was not great. I think it was an important old game. It was a tough old game. So I was a bit nervous at half time that maybe I'd done a wrong and not got over there to support them.
That's what happened there, mate.
I know, no, he'd vanished. So yeah, I was feeling a bit guilty at half time, mate, that I hadn't got over there to G him up. But yeah, no, I gave it a miss last night,
No
mate.
problem at all. I mean, obviously, the first thing is, yeah, if we start off with they bought 60, 70 fans. Not
Yeah.
many made it over, and then someone put out a really detailed post on one of the, I think it's Facebook, about the history of the club. It's kind of funded by people from Hungary, and it's Serbian club, but it's got the history is quite complicated about
Mm.
where it belongs and things like that. And I think it's the first time they've made it out of the qualifiers. Looking at their league, they're top of the league, mate. They're running away with it, so that's kind of the background with them. The lineup, when you saw the lineup, anything in there, mate? Looks like 8 changes, I think, from the last game, which is quite a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. No, nothing really that was unexpected, I suppose. I think a lot of the changes were pretty obvious ones.
Yeah,
I just you did look at it and you just thought where a goal's going to come from. Um, with Danny Ings isolated up front on his own, that was the main worry when I saw the lineup, I suppose. And I was quite surprised Paqueta was starting, mate. To be honest, I think we've got a big game coming up on Sunday against Liverpool, and I thought like he might have been protected a little bit more. So I was quite surprised, but it shows you how important that Moyes thinks he is to us. I guess with Alvarez also not able to play because of a suspension, that meant that we didn't have a lot of other options than to play Paqueta in there. Obviously, last year it'd have probably been Downs in there, mate. But obviously he's not around anymore to come in and fill these gaps in on European matches.
yeah. Obviously, the squad looks stronger year on year, and yeah, 8 changes, which I think is quite a lot to make. Unfortunately, yeah, we didn't see anyone from the youth team either starting or anywhere near the bench. And we'll go into a bit more, but what it told me was exactly what you're saying, mate. Playing Danny Ings in that role, complete waste of time, mate.
Yeah.
And I know my son especially had a go at him, and I was trying to explain to him that, yeah, he's probably, towards the end of his, not towards the total end of his career, but yeah, he's not going to be good as what he was 5, 6 years ago. But playing him in that role, total waste, mate, for me. But the rest of them we'll go into it in a minute. Yeah, 4-3-3, mate. Slight different to the 4-2-3-1. I think it was around 35,000 in the crowd. The average ticket price, especially band one, was around £60, which was more than last year. And like you said, mate, people obviously can't go to all the games, and you got to count the cost of the food and the travel, and it's middle of the week and people rushing from work. So I think that all played in, didn't it? And I think they're meant to be the weakest team in the group, so I think people might be saving up to watch the other two teams, I think. But you remember Freiburg is the one that I was really worried about when they came out the draw in that third pot, and they won yesterday.
Yeah, they look good.
So we're kind of top of the league on goal difference. They're there with us, and we carry on this good European run, mate. But let's go straight into the ratings, mate. And Fabianski, mate. kind of back in the fold, really, so to speak, and not kind of much. Even though when you look at the whole stats, mate, apparently they had 9 goal attempts, 4 on target, but certainly a large part of the first half we didn't see much from them. And yeah, they got that goal, which was kind of a good finish. And I was saying to my son Antonio when I scored that 1-1, and he took it really, really well. To be fair to the guy, and Fabianski did try to give him a tough kind of angle, but he got in there. That's about the only couple of times Fabianski was needed. I'm just going to give him the random 5 out of 10, mate. It was just, yeah, didn't keep a clean sheet. Apart from that, wasn't much for him to do. He did try to distribute the ball slightly better than normal, certainly throwing it out a lot quicker down the wings and things like that, mate. So, yeah, just a 5 out of 10 for me, really. Yeah.
Yeah, just before we give out my first rating, mate, just want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Boss, today. Obviously,
Cool.
great
Yeah.
company, and kitted us out today with a nice bit of clobber. Obviously kitted you out as well, mate. So looking good, freshened us up for this morning. Fabianski, mate. Do you know what? One thing that really stood out for me, he didn't have a lot to do, did he? Let's be perfectly honest. But one thing that him coming back in did make me realise is that aerially you're so much more comfortable with him than you are with Areola in the goal. I did think that every time a ball was up there, I always felt comfortable that Fabianski would claim it, which it really gave me that contrast between when Areola's in goal and you think, oh, he might flap at this. So, mate, solid enough. Like I say, not too much to do throughout the game. I suppose I'll give him an average 6, mate. I suppose.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if I want to call it a rest or not, but he looked pretty fresh, neat haircut, looked slim and trim, and yeah, nice day out. The wife's like, get out of the house, mate, doing my head in, driving me mad. So,
He'd obviously, mate. For someone of his age who is at that tail end of his career, I think there were some grumbles, weren't there, at the beginning that he may not have taken it too well, that the roles had reversed and Areola was now going to be number one and he was going to be sort of the bit part player. But, mate, he seems to be doing a professional job. There isn't any more noise coming out since then. He stepped up in there last night and looks committed to the calls. He's keeping himself, obviously, very much match ready, which is important, mate, because you never know what's around the corner and when that might, when we might need to call upon him. So it was good to see him match ready, I would say. It didn't look like he was rusty at all. Didn't look like like he hadn't been training and keeping himself, really sort of super match fit. He's one of the ones that if Areola got an injury for whatever reason, I wouldn't be too concerned if he came into Premier League matches and was starting again. I'd be quite happy that he was in the goal, to be honest.
and I think, again, he's one of these players where when you look back how long he's been with us, it'll surprise a few people. A lot of these players have been around 4, 5, 6 years now. It's gone by really quickly, so he's nicely established. Could be one of those that might stick around in the coaching role. You never know. He's that kind of guy. So, again, it goes back to, again, I do knock David Moyes a lot, but then the players that are in and around the club, they're good lads, aren't they? Good professionals. Largely, and good people to have around, really, mate. Next one I'm going to show you in a minute is let me just clear the chat. Robert's kind of joining us there. Yeah, matey, Grandad Cressy, mate. Jesus Christ. I mean, I was saying yesterday, mate, Emerson was like, yeah, I'm going to have a few cigars on the bench. I'm going to have the whole game off. I'm going to get ready for Liverpool. 43 minutes, the guy, when he had the ball, rarely did he look up and pass it forward. It was usually sideways and backwards a lot more than that. Nothing to offer. And then, something happened. 42, 43 minutes, mate. He's gone off. And that's that. And I've got to give him, I'm going to give him 4 out of 10. I didn't see, he did give the ball away definitely once. And then I remember the commentator saying that was a bit sloppy from him. Nothing, mate. I mean, really odd, isn't it? How as a fullback over the last couple of years he's able to get away with it without having the ability to take on anyone, no ability to tackle anyone. just this ability to receive the ball, knock it around a bit, take the odd corner, the odd free kick, and he cruises through games, mate.
Yeah.
That's what I thought of him, mate. Grandad Cressy.
Yeah, well, it's total contrast, isn't it? Fabianski is someone who looks like he's keeping himself ready to be in that starting lineup whenever he's called upon. Cresswell looked the total opposite, mate. He looked like someone who's pretty much checked out, to be honest. He looks 1 foot in retirement, mate. I don't even think you'll see him go elsewhere once he leaves West Ham. I think that's it for him. He doesn't really look that interested in playing football no more. I don't think he wants to be at the peak, and he just didn't seem to have any real desire to want to be out there, mate. And then he gets his little bit of a niggle. Looks like he wanted to come straight off the pitch as quickly as possible. Then he ran around for a little bit. It looked like he loosened up and he could make it to half time. Yeah, just looked like someone who didn't really want to be out there, to be perfectly honest, mate. So I think the 4 might be a little bit generous. I'm probably going to give him a 3, mate, to be honest.
I do wonder, like, Zero would have been the goalkeeper, Robert, whatever that guy. Remember that goalkeeper calamity we had 3? That would have been a 0 game. What does 1 mean? He can stand up on his feet. 2 mean he can see things. But yeah, it's quite interesting how this player rating show will go on. And I think I'm amateur at this at the moment. I'll get into it and we'll become pretty slick at it as we do it, really. But yeah, kind of interesting. Yeah, Cressy looks finished in the team. I think again it goes back to. We were linked with Kovacic, we were linked with a couple of strikers, and then I'm thinking we didn't bring him in, and that's why he stayed, because I'm hearing that Wolves do have some kind of ban on transfers. They don't have a lot of money, but if we would have got, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 for him, that would have been it, I think. But yeah, I think I agree with you, mate. The next one, mate, I don't know if he was equally as worse or what to think of him again, mate, but it all came back to me in terms of, you look at him and he's a great athlete. You know, he looks the part, doesn't he? And I, for once, I think I fell for it when he joined. I was jumping up and down thinking, yeah, we've got this guy who PSG and Barcelona once fought over, and he's one of Europe's young talents and in and out the Germany team, which in itself isn't a bad thing. But for me, mate, it's full of errors again. And luckily it was against a team that didn't lead to anything. But yeah, the good thing is he's always involved in the action. He's always trying to bomb up and down, trying to make things happen. But then there's always these 3, 4 really bad mistakes in him. And I've got to give him, gave Cressy 4. I think I should have listened to you and given Cressy 3 and then give him 4 because he played more of the game, really. But for me, I'm going to give him 4 out of 10 again, mate. These people are meant to impress the manager and the fans to say we're knocking on the door for the league position. And I didn't see it from Cressy. I didn't see it from Kehrer, mate. And again, he's a squad player, but then he's got a mistake in him. So he's a young guy. I don't know if we're going to be able to ship him out for some more money and recycle it back in again. What's his position? Is he good at a right back? Is he good as one of the 3 centre backs? I don't think he can, because you remember, like, especially you, when he was playing one of the 2 centre backs, he was calamity, wasn't he, mate? All over the place. Nothing's changed, mate, for me. I think Kehrer just full of mistakes, mate. Simple as that, I think.
Yeah, it's not even ones that can cost you defensively, mate. When he went forward, these decision making was poor. He kept giving the ball away, constantly sort of. I don't think it's for a lack of effort, mate. I think he does try. I think he runs up and down. I think he really tries. I think he's committed. I do feel like he wants to play more football, and I genuinely think that he come out there last night to try and put himself in the frame and give himself a chance of playing. Germany play him on the right. They play him very much as a wing back. I've watched him play for Germany, and he does get up and down the line well. He is fit. I think the difference is Emerson gets back quickly when he needs to defend. I don't think Kehrer does. I think he leaves us a bit exposed. I think a lot of they didn't do much attacking, but when they did, it seemed to come down his side quite a lot. And then when he went forward, you thought, right, here's your opportunity. You're on the edge of the box. You've got the ball. Now make something happen. His crossing isn't great. Decision making doesn't seem to be great. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt with this one, mate. He hasn't played any minutes for a long time. I think sometimes a bit of match sharpness and a bit of
Yeah.
a bit of game time makes the world a difference. So I'll give him a bit of a squeeze for last night and say, look, let's not totally judge him on that performance. But then again, mate, if there's any time to make yourself look good, last night was kind of the chance to do it because they weren't that great. And
I think he's one of our fastest players. I think he's one of
mm,
our fastest players. So he's got one or two things in his armory, but it's nothing up there, or whether it's confidence, I don't know. He's a good lad, and I think he's in the. Yeah, he looks like he's full of banter around the training ground in the dressing
yeah.
room, and we won. Not in terms of starting. He's a bit away from that, mate. For me at the moment, yeah.
And that's the problem, isn't it, mate? At the end of the day, he isn't good enough to get game time at the minute. So how is he going to get game time to start looking better and improve? So really tricky one, and let's be honest, mate. Sufal ain't no well beater. Sufal, all he is a trier. He hasn't got anything about him any more than that. But even Kera struggles to challenge him for his spot. Kera's never going to challenge for our centre half spots anymore because we've got
No.
options there, and I don't think he's. So yeah, it's a tricky one, mate. We have got a lot of games coming. We've got a lot of games coming thick and fast this year. So I still think as a squad player, hopefully we can get him to a level where he can start doing a job because we're going to need players, mate. Otherwise, we'll burn out quite quickly. So yeah, not a good game for me. Similar to what you said, mate. The frustration of him giving the ball away and stuff was really annoying. Um, yeah, I think a 4, while seems maybe a little bit harsh, it probably is the right score for him.
Yeah, I mean, we could push for 5 because he played, largely most of the game and was visible, was making an effort, was still bombing up and down, and he does appear in a penalty area at the other side quite
Yeah, he
often,
does. No, he does.
And a couple of things I remember top of my head with him. You remember the touch was heavy twice, wasn't it? He was in a good
Yeah.
position, and he just, again, sharpness and things like that, mate. So he needs to work on one or two things. The next one, mate, is the one who made a reasonably good impression on everyone, mate. What they saw. One thing that came to mind, mate, how big he is and how big he looked out there on the pitch. he's a unit, mate. He's visible on the eye, and you could see straight away, mate. Ward Prowse was finding him with those corners and stuff like that. So he was the number one target, and he was more often than not, he was getting his head onto it. He was creating things, and a couple of times the ball went really close either side of the post. And the thing I really want to watch him for is, again, the traditional defensive side of him. I want to see how he marks defenders. I want to see how he reads the game, because Zuma is a kind of model for me at the club to follow. I know, but other things are going to be great. He scores a lot of goals. He's good at set pieces. He's physical. I can see one or two physical battles that will warm him to the West Ham fans. We like players like that. So for me, I think, he was all right. Yeah, one or two small things to be expected, but I think largely he looked fairly confident. He came up for those free kicks and set pieces. So, I mean, again, it's tricky because he wasn't really tested as a defender at the back, and we let in a goal, which was not really nothing to do with him. I'm going to give him a 7, actually. He's a debut. I'm going to give him a 7 in terms of, he's one of the good shining things out there for me, mate. And the other thing I noticed, mate, is that we played with 2 left-footed centre-halves yesterday, mate. So I know that's not ideal, but he looked fairly okay, but he was largely using his left foot to move the ball around. So we'll see what happens going forward. Some people are saying he should start at Liverpool. I don't think Moyes is going to do that, mate. He's going to carry on with Agard for now. Again, Agard, as you know, I've got my big eye on him, mate. See how he does. 7 for me. I just, could have given him a 6, but I just thought, generally quite a nice debut for me, mate. I would have said,
Yeah, a perfect debut for him, mate. Really, he hasn't, pulled up any trees because he didn't have to, and he didn't really have much to do, to be perfectly honest. So, the 7 is the right score. He looks like an old-fashioned, quite old-school centre half, which I've got no problems with. I watch players positionally when it's a game like this. And there was a few times where I thought he went ball chasing a little bit, and I thought, oh, just stay in your position there. I don't think you've got any need to be chasing that ball down. It could have been picked up by Kerrer. You've now, if anything went wrong from here and they pressed us and nicked the ball back, you're well out of position. So, it's going to take him time, mate. He needs to learn, the ways of the Premier League. I think putting him in against Liverpool probably is a bad decision against, a team like that who can do a lot of damage and are going to pull us around with their front players, with Szoboszlai and Salah and that. So I think, that's going to be a real tricky game. So chucking him in there, I think, would be a bad move. I think Aguerd probably is the right decision. But, mate, it's another player who, as it looks at the moment, we need to see more of him. Of course, we do against better opposition. But it looks like he's going to be a useful player, mate. And especially in these European nights when you need someone who's big, strong, physical, going to put a foot in and do a job, mate, he looks absolutely ideal.
I think in the three at the back, he'll be awesome. If ever you wanted to play that with wing backs, and I know Moyes is perhaps obviously hasn't got the ideal wing back solution at the moment, but like a Liverpool away with three centre backs, Zuma, Agard, and him, in the future that would be quite good. John thinks he looks good with a tash. Fair enough, mate. Yeah, that's the thing, mate. Let's give him time. And it's a harsh league. It's a very hard league, as we know. And Agard knows, and people like that, and Kera struggling. Let's see how we do with that, mate. Another thing, just thinking about defenders, mate, and my general idea, even as I play fancy football, mate, clean sheets are very rare now, And even City, you can get at them. You can get at Liverpool. Everyone you can get at. Do you think there's a lack of real old school proper defenders out there in the market, mate, who can really mark and do their job? It's all about the goalkeepers, like the Arsenal thing, which is all over the news. It's because the guy's better bringing it out. Forget the saves, So we're looking at players who are more bringing it out and can pass it and dribble with it rather than traditional defender, isn't it?
Well, that's why Pep is playing players like Kyle Walker at centre half, mate, because he wants them to be able to be on the ball and stuff. So, mate, don't get me started with this. It's a conversation for another day. I do think there's a lack of proper centre halves. I think there's a lack of proper centre forwards, mate. I think all round there's a real lack. And I don't think it's for the better of football. No one could tell me that when we watched that City game with us last week, that City, mate, I've gone at times. I remember going to West Ham and seeing United when they were at the very top and being blown away by the team we're playing. Sit there and just go, wow, ain't they fantastic? I did have that with City the other day, mate. I know they've got amazing players. I'm not saying they're not. But the way they play football, it is dull, mate. The modern day football, this is what Pep has brought to football. Everyone says he's changed football. Well, he ain't changed it for the better because it is dull, boring to watch. It's almost like they put you to sleep with just passing it around and no real dynamic, no cutting edge, no, I liked that old school direct. Football where it was end to end and it was exciting and it was fast paced and, that was exciting football to me. I do think there is a bit of lack of that old school centre half. And unfortunately, when you find them these days, they're normally a Harry Maguire type where they're a bit too big, a bit too cumbersome, and not particularly good. That is one thing I wanted to see last night, actually, mate, because a lot of people said to me how good Mavropanos is with a ball at his feet. And I wanted to see a little bit of that. There was that one where he had no pressure on him and he passed the ball straight off the pitch. I was a bit like, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt that it's a bit of a quiet night. It's an half, and maybe you're not quite, adrenaline's going and you're not on top of it. But, I didn't quite see this ball playing centre half as much as people may have said. But we'll give him time and see if that comes out in the next few weeks.
Yeah, he was good in terms of just quickly slicking it left and right, fairly short distances, like you said. Agard is very good at longer distances and pretty accurate and things like that, but we'll see. Snazzy Azzy says Klopp's That's the one in lockdown, wasn't it, mate? When I wanted the league not to
Mm.
carry on so they don't win it. But yeah, Klopp was quite good with that, and even now, yeah, fast, pacey. To be fair, I mean, I don't know if I want to go into it. What do you think about the way Spurs are playing at the moment under?
I mean, mate, it doesn't matter how much of an opinion you've got or how much you watch Spurs. All you've got to do is see the reaction from their fan base at the moment and how excited they are and how energized they are by what they're watching. That just speaks volumes, mate. At the end of the day, it's obvious that he's playing a style that fans want to watch because they're very excited, mate.
Apparently, the personality is quite strong when he came, and he just put his footprint on it. I know it's hard to manage under Daniel Levy. He's godfather of the club, who's actually looking to sell his shares and investments. I heard today from someone. But yeah, good luck to him, mate. If you're brave enough to implement that style of quick, slick play. Well, North London Derby Sunday, we'll see what happens anyway. Kudos, man of the match.
Mate. I am proper looking forward to that.
I love watching North London derbies. I love watching that game,
and for the first time, mate, for the first time ever, I don't know who I'd want to win more. Normally, it's just straight up Arsenal. I want to see Arsenal win. They're so sickly and so I just hate everything about them at the moment that, yeah, it's going to be hard for me to know who I'll prefer winning that game, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I got to drop my missus off. She's going Canada in the morning for work. Started a new job with Sotheby's, mate. Sotheby's.
Oh, nice.
And I tell you what she's told me so far in terms of how they work, mate. She got a bottle of Dom Perignon, say welcome to the team, and she said, "Oh, that's staying on my desk." I said, "I'm not really a champagne person, and that's fine with me." And then they were in Monaco entertaining the millionaires because her section is going to be antique cars. They sold a car last year for 125 million, and they take 10% cut. So that was 12.5 million kind of fee on that. They're selling 2 Aston Martin James Bond, she told me, and she goes, "Do you want to come to Pall Mall next month?" And hands up, I'm not really into cars, Frank. You probably kill me. I'm not really into it, but
I ain't even got a driving license. Why would I kill you? I can't stand cars.
Because most blokes are, aren't they? A lot of them are into cars. I'm like, I can't go more than 30 miles an hour around where I live, mate. I mean, probably get a bike. But yeah, that's all happening with her. And then she goes, the bar bill in Monaco was 38 grand. And
sounds like your half-time bill at the London Stadium, mate, once you've had a couple of burgers and a couple of hot dogs. About the same sort of money.
Well, going back to what kind of the Colour Factory Sheffield United game, I used to be in the 11 in the morning and I could get spirits on the VIP table, mate. I'm 11:30 and it's unlimited. It's the table service, pizza and beers on the table. First one in the queue to get anything signed. I was properly sport back in those days, mate. Bloody hell, mate. Oggy, Grandad Oggy. Krezzy's great-great-granddad. This is just Grandad Oggy. And we had a nice, slick, young back four, back five, didn't we? With Oggy, with Krezzy, with Fabianski. A new person making his debut, Calamity Carer. So he had it all there, didn't you, mate? But Oggy, what Oggy was doing in the first... See, he's one of those players again. He's getting slow. He's still got it in there. But I think he forgot about the body. So in the first half, he kept doing this where he thought the upper body strength he's got is enough, and he was doing it there where he was holding onto it for too long. They were ganging up on him, and he just about held them off a couple of times. And then obviously when they scored, mate, it reminded me of Tony Gale against Derby, where when he used to do these really slow passes back to the goalkeeper, on that occasion didn't reach the goalkeeper. Dean Saunders took it round and scored, and yeah, he knew hands up, it happens to people, and there was no one else in our team who was going to get in there and help. And really, for me, it was a good finish from their player, mate. And Oggy, in terms of a rating, I mean, apart from that, he was all right. He was cruising. But for him, I don't know. I have to give him 6 out of 10, mate, because of that mistake. And because they weren't tested a lot, and then when you kind of did that. Again, it's kind of how we were at the traps. We were kind of moving it around too slowly, quite lethargic up to first half, and not really taking them seriously, not zipping the ball around quick enough. And maybe, mentally he was just had that moment, mate, for me, which I haven't seen too often with him. And again, he's been around the club so long. 6 out of 10 for me, mate, for Oggy. Yeah.
I'm probably going to be a bit more harsh than that, mate. I thought last night it was the first time when he come back from his injury. I thought he was finished. I thought there's no way back for him. When we gave him a contract, I was very surprised. I thought he was done, and he's come back and he's got away with it, mate. I think with that wise head on his shoulders, he positions himself well. He's always done enough, and when he's come in, mate, he's put in some really big performances for us since he's come back in. So. But for last night was the first time I watched him and thought, wow, you're really starting to suffer with the pace of the game here a little bit. And, you know, he tries to use his wise head. He tries to slow the game down. He tries to, like you say, use his upper body strength and just shield the ball away at times. Mate, I think he's got to realise that he ain't the player he once was, and sometimes now just do the simple thing. He can't get away with doing what he did last night in Premier League matches if we need him to start, or big matches. Just simplify it, get rid of it if you have to, play a simple pass. I think all of this taking too much time on the ball, people will work that out in the end, and they'll be on him, and he'll get quite a tough time, mate, because he just ain't as mobile as he used to be. So, yeah, for me, he had an average performance anyway, and then with the mistake, it's probably a 5 for me.
Yeah, we're seeing 4s and 5s and 6s in the chat. That's kind of fair enough. I don't even think, mate, that he was under pressure really throughout the game, including that mistake. So I get that he hasn't got the pace, but there wasn't really anyone testing him, so that made it even worse, didn't it, really?
Well, he had that little one down in the corner, didn't he, where it come off for him. He sort of shielded the ball. He went to go one way. He then turned back. He then turned away again. And in the end, he kicked it off the defender's leg and it went out for a goal kick. That was fine. But again, when he was doing it, I was thinking, mate, what? Just sort this out. Like, and I know he got away with it and it was all okay in the end. But if he keeps doing that, he will come unstuck like he did last night. He will get caught out. So he needs to change that part of his game, mate, quite quickly.
I think he's one of those who's got an extension again, mate, last year maybe. So I don't know if he's got 2 years left now. Or...
mate, there's absolutely no point in going on any further than this season. I think we've been lucky to get out of him this extra bit of time that we have. If we're not replacing him for next season, then we're really not moving forward enough as a football club, mate, because he'll do a job this year. But for me, that's exactly the sort of player, mate. If we moved on James Collins when we did, and like many of us stood on the terraces saying, sign him up. Ogbonna's one who's, done for me.
Yeah, I think it's going to come out soon about Souček's contract discussions. Kufal's, Bowen's is ongoing, so still a lot of work to be done in the background, mate, with that one. Next one is your favourite. It's Fornells, Pablo Fornells. He's one of those, mate. I don't think he wanted to be on the pitch, mate. I don't know where his head is. You're just running around. Usual Fornells, can't finish, running around for the sake of running around, which David Moyes loves. 5 out of 10, mate. I didn't see much of him, of what he was doing, and I don't know, mate. He's just there running around, mate.
I do think he looked disappointed when he come off. I think he knew.
Oh, you did? Yeah.
I think he knew he had chance to put in a shift and have a good game last night, and he didn't. He did try and make a few bits happen. What you just said, mate, is spot on. Typical Fornells performance for me. A lot of showing, a lot of potential, and then not really doing much. So for me, probably a 5 out of 10 for me, mate.
Fair enough, mate. Let's see what's happening in the chat. Got a few comments coming out. Snazzy Azzy, we've become too sentimental. Yeah, mate, we just say it the way it is, mate. Shouldn't be anywhere near a team who's got ambitions to regularly finish in Europe and things like that, mate. Again, comes across as a nice person, but I don't know what we'll think of him if he goes on the free, mate. I don't know about that. We'll see what happens. Mate. Yeah, busy. A bit like Souček, mate. Doesn't stop, but when you look back, you actually think, what did he actually do in the game that was important? Or there's a few people like that, mate. Okay, that's Fornells. The next one is gonna be the man of the moment, mate. He was Jesus Christ. I mean, before he came, we knew about the set pieces and corners. I didn't know much else about his game, but yeah, he's more than all right, mate. He was trying to grab the ball. You know, you always got that midfielder that where he keeps it ticking, doesn't he? Keeps it ticking, receives
Yeah.
the ball regularly, keeps moving it on, wants it again. And yeah, back of our minds, he's going to be 29 in November, and we're thinking, is he mobile? I think he's a really fit lad. I think he leads a good, healthy life. Looks like good professional. Really, really lucky to have him. We tried our best to put him in the market, didn't we? That we don't buy him. No one else wanted him, and yeah, I know Madison's got the headlines as well, but he's equally up there, if not more. Every single game, mate. I mean, he's in my fantasy team, whatever, doesn't matter. But yeah, assist after assist. Got a free kick, didn't he? Got a free kick, and yeah, just got
Unlucky.
deflected over the bar. The commentator said this is going in before he took it, and I thought, bloody hell, mate, you're putting him under pressure.
Yeah, a bit much.
I'm going to stick my head out and say that the last time a player who played like this was Payet, mate. Step by step, game by game, where every game he's solid, he's creating things, he's keeping it ticking, sticking his foot in, mate. We're getting so much out of this bloke, and I know Kudos made his full debut and scored one, could have got two. That was an own goal. I'm going to give him 8 out of 10, mate. I'm going to give him 8 out of 10 because I didn't think he put a foot wrong. There's not much more you can ask from him. He's there, he's fit, he's playing every game, doesn't hide. And it's there. He scores, he sets things up. Every corner, we're so excited when we get a corner. And his corners, they're finding Mavropoulos or whoever, Zuma a couple of times before that, Agard before that. I've got to give him 8, mate, because I'm just like a kid. I'm just sure your son watched him again yesterday. I'm well excited with him, mate. He's making me excited off my seat, and I look an extra bit looking forward to games with someone like him in your team, mate.
Question for you, mate. If James Ward-Prowse and Declan Rice was the same age, and you could only pick one of them, who would you pick?
I'd pick Ward Prowse because if you remember my comments about Rice being a freak of a CDM where he could do a bit more, he looked a bit too talented for that area. I'll stick my neck out, and CDMs, all I ever wanted from them was like Højbjerg or Alvarez was kind of, with respect, is like just stick your foot in and keep the ball moving. This guy does that. It's the 10, 15 goals and assists in total that he brings to a team. And you look at the league table at the end of the season, it's Ward Prowse for me. Best freak. I mean, what did Pep say? We are the most dangerous team on set pieces in Europe now. He's got to be up there as one of the top free kick takers in Europe. A goal and assist every other game. You can't put price on that. And I know Rice, we know what he had to his game. Very solid. Used to put his foot in, win the ball back and things like that. But for me, Ward Prowse was 7-8 years at Southampton. Obviously, Southgate, I don't like him. He doesn't look at him anymore. He'd rather play Phillips, which is, it is what it is, mate. I'd pick Ward Prowse, mate. I think I love goals as a kid. I love goals. I love assists, free kicks, corners, penalties, mate. You can't put a price on that. What you bring, he could have a crap game, and I would have given him 6 or 7, and he would have set one up or. Just for that, he used to get one. Southampton was a slightly worse team. He would only get an assist, I'll say only, 1 in 3. Here, bloody hell, with better players around him. And, players are made for clubs. It's like we could go and buy Mbappe and he wouldn't do well for us. It just happens. So that's another thing where he just, bloody hell, he fits West Ham like a glove, mate, So I'd love Ward Prowse, So I'd give him because of what he all round game, what he brings to us.
Yeah. I mean, he's off the ball, sitting in the front row, Brighton away, watching how he lays his body on the line, how many blocks that he does. And there was one, he blocked the ball in his own area. The ball went right out to to their midfielder. And before the midfielder had a chance to control it, he was in front of the keeper putting in another tackle. Just a colossal player, mate. Just, he's everywhere on that pitch, but he's not just a grafter. He's got ability beyond belief. I actually thought we was in trouble last night, mate, because I couldn't see us scoring from open play.
Yeah.
And for the first half, they dealt with our corners very well. We didn't really get that much of a sniff. They were just sort of heading it away, and I thought they defended brilliantly for the first half. And I thought maybe they've sussed us out here, and we're going to struggle. But it's just relentless. Even if you've got a team who's brilliant at defending set pieces, when they keep coming in and every single ball is on the money, every single ball is in that danger area where the keeper can't come from it, and it puts it where defenders have got to do a job. Eventually the defender's not going to do his job, and one of your players is going to get on the end of it. It is absolutely relentless. It does make us dangerous. Thank God for that, because I feel like we lack so much else in terms of having a centre forward who we can hit from open play and put him in. I agree. Souček's was off the training ground. He went on that near post, stood in there, let the defender sort of zonal mark the space, and then he just as on the run up, just drifted in front of the defender, and Souček put it right on a plate for him, mate. It was a perfect goal. I think Souček will benefit. Antonio can head the ball. Zuma can head the ball. Mavropanos can head the ball. Mate, we're going to be, every single time you get a set piece, you do feel like you've got a chance of scoring now, which is, like I said to you before, West Ham have never really had that, mate. We've never been one for a team for scoring like that in the old days. So, look, mate, I'm so happy we've got it. Is it how I want to score goals all the time? Probably not. I'd still probably rather ping around 6, 7, or 8 passes and cut open a defence and bury one in the bottom corner, or have Payet scoring worldies and screamers or whatever. But, mate, it's effective. It does a job, and we will be a nuisance for teams, because we've got big men and a player who's got all the ability in the world to put it on a plate for people. I think your score's on the money, mate. 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I think obviously we go into a bit later on, but yeah, Kudos was quite good. Paqueta in pockets was alright. There was pockets of play where we was quickly moving the ball around, and the second half looked much better. First half was a bit more slower. This question's coming up now, isn't it, mate? Captain Ward-Prowse rather than Zuma. I'll give it to him. I'm fine with it.
He's more of a
Yeah.
natural captain, because
Yeah.
he is more of he 100% is more of a leader. He's got more of a character, more of a personality. He's more vocal. He's in that middle of that pitch. Yeah, I think, if looking back at it now, we didn't know how James Ward-Prowse was going to work out. I think if we knew the player that he was going to be like he is now, I think all of us would have said he's the man for captain.
It is, and I'm just like, yeah, we left it really late to get the deal done, and I know players always say they want to sign for us, but it looks like he was keen, I think, to come, and no one else really looked at him because of the age largely. No chairman's going to largely sign off on a 4 or 5 year deal for 28-year-old, but that's kind of fine. This one is going to be hard for me. I mean, because I got in my mind what I'm going to give Kudos. Ward-Prowse, we've given him an 8, mate. My son was really frustrated with him, and I was kind of arguing with him. He said, no, Dad, he gave it away so often, and he's doing that. And I thought he was doing that when he first came in, and I was giving him pelters. So up to January last year, I didn't see anything in him. But then I thought, especially the Bournemouth game, I thought he aggressively wants it. Again, a lot of skill when there's 3 people around him. He just comes out with the ball. Was he as good as 7? Was he as bad as 5 or 6? This is really hard, this one for me, mate. Because I don't want to give him as much as Kudos, and certainly nowhere near Ward-Prowse. 6 seems harsh. This is a really hard one for me. I'm going to do 6.5 out of 10. But this is hard for me, Frank. I mean, 7. Was he really 7? Was he bad as 6? I'm thinking 6.5 out of 10 then for him, mate. But I don't know if my son's, what you're saying has got into my head now. I didn't see too much wrong with him, again, because the opposition was so poor. So even if he lost it a couple of times, it didn't really matter. I'm going to give him 6.5, mate. I'm going to give him 6.5 for me. I think he's kind
of frustrating game for me. Look, can you blame him that he wasn't as on it and as bright as he was at Man City? It's a much lesser team. He's got all the ability in the world. You've got a half-empty stadium. He's turned out there last night. He's above the level. He hasn't put in the same commitment to that match last night as he did at City. Do you know what? When he played City, there's times where he looks like he's just really enjoying himself, isn't there? Where he does his little flicks and he does his little tricks, and he looks like he's having an amazing time playing football. So last night wasn't one of those times. It looked like he could rather have done without it. I think he probably felt he was probably a little bit too good for that standard. He got incredibly frustrated when he put it on a plate for Antonio, and Antonio couldn't control it and messed it up. He was really, really, you see it in his face. He was quite angry. I know he had a volley after that and he hit it over the bar. And I think he probably was a little bit peed off of himself at the poor strike. But I think his biggest frustration was coming from the fact that I've put it on a plate for you there, mate, and you've totally messed it up. So, yeah, I mean, he had an okay game. He did give the ball away a little bit. He definitely weren't as on it as he can be. And for that reason, I'm probably going to give him a 6, mate.
Yeah, it is tricky because if I'm regarding Ward-Prowse as largely man of the match, I give him 8. And then we'll come to Kudus in a minute. I'm going to give him more than Paqueta. So Paqueta's kind of slightly below that. And I can't match him with Kudus because Kudus had a good debut, scored, could have got 2. So it is hard, isn't it? It is hard sometimes. But looks like John wants to give him a 7. And but that's the thing we do like at West Ham. Like I said, we want people to be brave and dribble with it, take on. And if you lose it, West Ham's usually all right. Doesn't matter. At least you try to entertain it. So I suppose that's the other side of looking at it, isn't it? The risk of it that you're going to lose it because you are trying to entertain the fans.
Yeah, I don't mind running at people and losing it. What I don't like is when he's got all the ability in the world, can pick out 30-yard passes, but then sometimes do you know what? It is the fact that his brain sometimes gets a little bit bored and he'll misplace a 5-yard pass. And you just think, how have you just done that? You've got all the ability in the world. You're better than that. We know you're better than that. But sometimes he just switches off, mate. He just has that little bit of thing where he gets a bit bored. It's not exciting enough for him. And he gets a bit complacent at times, mate. And I felt like last night was one of those times.
Talking about frustrating, especially the first half, mate. Let me just have a quick look at the chat. Yeah, Benny, mate. First half, really not very, very good for me. Again, didn't notice him much, and a couple of times. I think what I noticed about Fornals and Benrahma is their finishing is really bad. So if they're in the box and they're about to take a shot, I'm like, don't do it, because it goes way off target. And because, listen, the size of a goal is fairly big when you're near the penalty area, isn't it? It's hard not to, well, easy for me to say, but more often than not, it's not on target from him, and it drives me mad. But second half, a lot better. I think he even got an assist for the own goal, I think. So for me, first half, mate, 4s and 5s out of 10, got an assist. Like everyone else, picked up his game a bit in the second half. But then again, mate, not enough for a starting spot, mate. Not enough for me at the moment, and I don't think he's going to be starting anytime soon with the way the squad's shaping up. So I'm generous. I'll give him 6 out of 10, mate. I could have been a bit below, but for me, I think the exit's coming for him. I think he's not going to be starting for us anytime soon, and I think we need to move him on and recycle the cash and get someone in who really threaten the first team. And again, a big game like Liverpool, you won't notice him. And it's like you said, physically, is he really strong enough sometimes? Surprised me as a penalty taker. Hats off to him, done that job really, really well. But when you got people like Kudus coming into and Ward-Prowse and Alvarez, it shows that Benrahma more, doesn't it, in terms of level? And I think, he was all right a couple of years ago, but where we're heading now with this squad, he's not up to it, mate. So I'll give him a 6, and I know it's generous for me, mate.
Yeah, probably is a little. Look, if he hasn't done that cutback and put that ball into the mix, and we get a goal from it, then he's definitely down there at a 5. Because we needed a goal at that point in time, desperately needed that goal, and he managed to create it, then I think that just about puts him into the 6 territory. But for me, mate, it's the same old story we see for him all the time. He looks bright. He looks energetic. He gets the ball. He looks like he's about to do something. He does the hard bit, and then he picks totally the wrong decision and makes a really bad choice on whether he's going to put the ball in or he's going to take a shot or he picking a player out. And then once in a blue moon, like last night, and people will probably give him a much higher score last night because of that one moment where he actually made the right decision for a change and put in a decent ball. But it's just not enough for me. He sees so much of the ball. He's such an important key player for us when he plays that we need him to make things happen. We need him to make the right choices. We need him to make better decisions. If he wasn't the person that quite a lot of the play went through, then it's not so much of an issue. But we rely on him so much when he does play that he's got to do better with his decision making, mate. And I don't know. I never believed in him. I never believed he would come good. I was always a critic of him. I always sort of said I don't think he's good enough, and I stand by it, mate. I just don't think he's at the level.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to say what a good friend at E20 Zone TV, James. Me and James we always used to be loggerheads over him. And for me, I think it's when you look back, it didn't quite happen. I think, yeah, and I don't think he's going to start, mate. Is he going forward? I mean, he was given a good run last year, but whether we can afford to have him as a fringe player and off the substitute is good. When he comes off 65 minutes, he looks good.
He can be lively, can't he? A lot of energy for that sort of time. I agree with that.
Next one we're going to go up to, mate, is Mr. Danny Ings. Danny Ings, like you mentioned, you saw him in the lineup on his own. Yeah, he just didn't do anything. And it must be the manager instructions. He was doing an Antonio special where even the commentator was saying he wasn't in the box, mate. He's running down the channels. He's taking throw-ins from the halfway line. And what are you doing, mate? Get your bum in the box. You're a striker. I tell you, this is an old school striker. You know, you're saying there's not many of them around. He's one of the Tony
He's the
Cotty
type striker. And we both just said it. We both just said it at the same time.
And he's obviously... Yeah, hair transplant looks good. Well done for that, Danny. The hair's coming back. But it is what it is. I mean, again, he's one that I think if we bought that striker in at the end, he could have been... Everton wanted him badly, didn't he, his old manager? And they bloody need something. Bloody hell, Everton. Yeah, all over the place. And all right, I'm going to go 4 out of 10, mate. I didn't see anything the whole game, mate. He just... If anything, I'm really glad that... He nearly got in Kudus' way, the header that Kudus scored, and I'm thinking, thank God, Danny, didn't fall to you. But no, a total waste for him. He just ran around and didn't make an effect. He didn't give us that striker sort of target man that we needed to make things happen, or someone hold it up and bring the rest of them into play, or you know, he wasn't going to head it in. He didn't really have any chance. He wasn't in the right positions, and it just makes you think, why did we bring him in if we were going to use him like this, you know? So it is a bit... yeah, I'm knocking him a bit. I'm also knocking the club and the manager and the tactics as well. You can't play him like this, you know? You can't. It's a waste. Substitute, maybe, last 10 minutes, maybe. Yeah, tiring defenders, the ball falls to him. He's got a good finish on him. 4 out of 10 for me, mate. Total waste for me, mate.
I feel sorry for him, mate. I really do feel sorry for him. You're at the end of your career. You've got one last... Well, actually, no, that's rubbish. I don't feel sorry for him. He's getting paid a shed load of money for doing what he does for us. He's the luckiest man in the world. We should never have put him on that sort of money for that length of period of contract. Simple as that. Bad business from West Ham as usual. Typical West Ham type deal. But I do feel sorry for him in terms of I don't think he really realised that he would be used in the way that he's being used. He hasn't got the legs that he had before. You know, we're not playing to his strengths. We don't have the ball in the opposition's half anywhere near enough, or in their box for that matter, for Danny Ings to do what he does. We just don't do it. And because of that, he's completely useless, doesn't see the ball. And I get why he would be coming deep and why he would be trying to put himself around, because if not, he'd just be standing up there on his own all night. He wouldn't see the ball. He wouldn't touch the ball all night if he was to, you know, play in that Antonio role. Because he certainly wouldn't back into defenders and win headers against them and stuff like that, like Antonio does. So, a real shame, mate, really. But it's just all round, it was just the wrong move, wasn't it? He wasn't right for West Ham. West Ham wasn't right for him. Just it isn't going to work out. Unfortunately, mate, it isn't going to get any better either. This situation will play out until the end of his contract and he leaves West Ham. That's it.
I think the worries, mate, the strength of the opposition yesterday is probably going to be one of the not so good and weak when you look at the whole season. And if he's come out of a game like that with comments what we're giving him, it's not gonna. You can't
No
put him up.
chance.
You can't play him like this against Liverpool, can you? Things like that. It's gonna
No.
be. It's gonna be totally non-effective, mate. Ineffective. So yeah, I gave him fours. There's a lot of fives in the chat, mate. So we're kind of all thinking the same thing, mate. And
Yeah, 4 for me, mate. I'm going to be with you, I think.
so
But it's not for a want of trying. I do feel he tried. I do feel he tried. I feel like he puts himself, but I feel like he desperately wants to offer something, mate. He just can't.
and again, it goes back to that the quality of players that we've been bringing in. It's showing up people like him, like Benny, like Kara. It's time to recycle the cash and go again, isn't it, mate? Really.
Yeah.
We come to the last player in the team, mate. So yeah, we could wrap this up under an hour. Kudos for me, 7 out of 10, mate. Looked all right. Did lose the ball again first half, but I don't really look into that too much, mate. First game was trying to make things happen for the crowd, and hopefully David Moyes doesn't curtail that part of his game because he's pacey. He wants to make things happen. We'll see what position he plays in as the season unfolds. He could be a player that can play in more than one position in that 3 behind the striker. Whether he's a striker or not, I don't know. I'd rather not go there if he hasn't done it too often, mate. But one thing I didn't know, mate, was that, yeah, he can finish with a header. You know, he obviously... The second goal we thought he'd scored till we saw the replays, and it was an own goal, but he was virtually thereabouts. But all throughout the game, he was trying to win the ball back and trying to do things, make them happen. And yeah, he got the goal. Can't ask for more than that from a home debut. He's carrying the pressure off a big signing, which it is hard for some players, mate. But he's from the Ajax kind of group, been there a number of years, so he knows certainly he's good with the ball at his feet. And looks like I was worried in the first half some patches, but he kind of was okay. He didn't go hiding. He came back looking for the ball again, and overall, hopefully that kind of holds him in good stead, mate. A good night at home, one goal and close to sort of getting a second one. So I'll give him a nice tidy 7, I think, and hopefully there's a lot of pressure on him. We're expecting a lot of things from him. And hopefully he's got the head to kind of carry that and show that. He's got Alvarez with him, which I think is a good thing. So with both of them in the same team, they can help each other, mate. So all in all, a reasonably nice night for him, isn't it, mate? 7 for me, mate.
I'm going to be a bit harsher here, mate. I thought their guy, their defender, who was it, Petrovic.
Yeah.
I felt like he had him sussed for ages, mate. I didn't see what everyone else is seeing with Kudus last night, mate. I felt like he was on the floor a lot. I felt like he got bullied a lot by that Petrovic. I felt like he give the ball away time and time again. I lost count how many times he gave the ball away. I don't think we was told that he isn't as fast as people feel like he will be, and I think that's true. He hasn't got blistering pace. He's a powerful player. He runs with power. He's obviously quite strong. He's quite stocky, but he isn't a blistering winger. I actually don't know where we're going to play him. I'm a bit confused how we're going to use him to get the best out of him at the moment. And it worries me that we've got a manager who struggles to know how to get the best out of players. I feel like we're going to have to get really lucky with him for him to be this big signing that we hope he'll be. And that's that Moyes stumbles across a way of using him that suits him, because Moyes won't have the idea naturally. This is one of them players where Moyes will be clueless with how to use him. And sometimes Moyes gets lucky and puts them in a role and stumbles across it. And other times, like Hilaire and Anderson, he doesn't, and it goes badly wrong. I've got a feeling that this is going to be another one of those international signings that goes really badly, and we end up selling him further down the line for nowhere near as much money as we paid for him. I hope I'm wrong. That obviously fought that first goal. we thought he'd scored it. It was obvious he didn't score it because he didn't really celebrate. He didn't have a clue where the ball was. I was quite disappointed he didn't put the ball into the net, to be honest with you. It was there to be tapped into the
Mm,
goal, and he didn't do it. And it needed an own goal for that ball to go in the net. So I was a little bit disappointed with that. Obviously, he got his goal in the end, and he looked elated when he got his goal, and I was happy for him and over the moon
yeah.
that he got his goal, and that was great. Mate, there's no question that he's got ability. He isn't one of those players who we've bought in and the good thing about him is he has got the physical attributes to be a success in the Premier League. That's what gives me hope. That's what gives me hope. He's strong enough, big enough, physical enough that he can handle the Premier League. So that's good. I just haven't got a clue where to play him. He isn't a pacey winger. I've seen someone in the chat mention potentially a
Mm,
false nine, maybe, don't know. He definitely isn't an out and out striker for me because he got bullied by Petrovic. So if he gets bullied by that player from Serbia, then the chances of him being able to run a front line against the elites of the Premier League, then there's no way he's going to be able to do that. Was he on the left replacement for Ben Rama? Don't think so. I'm confused, if I'm honest. And I thought,
yeah.
for me, it was a 6 performance in total. A 6 out of 10 was where it was for me. If he'd tapped that other goal in, then all of a sudden, to get a brace, then we're talking 7, maybe 8. But the fact there was just too many things that I just felt
Mm.
like he got wrong last night for him to have a top score. I may be being a bit harsh, mate, but yeah, 6 for me.
I say it's interesting because you remember that against
Yeah,
Man City. We thought he's looked really, really good, but when you look at the Man City comments, they're a bit like what you were saying about
I would agree.
the
I didn't think Doku was some well beater. I felt like we really
yeah.
put it on him at times, and he went hiding when we started crunching into him.
Mm,
I know we let him run through us all the way, and all Sufal did was back off, back off, back off until he put it in the net. But I didn't see a well beater there.
yeah, but like you said, I think these players are going to be in the game. They're going to have those moments where hopefully they can set something up and score, and then more often than not, like you said, they might not be visible. They might lose the ball. So you might get that kind of player, really. So we'll see how the season develops for him and all those players. In terms of his position at Ajax, more often than not, I think they played a 4-3-3, and he would have played where Ward-Prowse was in the lineup I've shown here.
Mm.
But going forward, it might be because I'm hoping. I mean, I don't want to see Souček at Liverpool, and then you got Alvarez, and then you've got Ward-Prowse as well. I think we're heading that way with Liverpool. I think if Moisey's going to get his way, but looking beyond the Liverpool game, it could be a case of 4-2-3-1, and he's probably might shove Paqueta on the Benrahma side, and then he would be in the middle, and then Bowen on the other side, mate. I think that's what he would like, to be in the middle behind the striker. So you'll have Paqueta on the other wing, Bowen on the other one, and then we'll see how it develops. That might work, and then Alvarez, Ward-Prowse behind. That might work because he does. He looks like he does enjoy scoring and having the shots and things like that. But yeah, like you said, how much strength has he got? How much pace has he got to play on the wing? It's tough on the wing. We'll see how that goes, mate. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Kudos. Yeah, maybe, mate. Kudos is 2-3. Yeah, we've gone through that one.
Yeah, I just didn't see that. I didn't see that he had 2, 3 players around him. It's different to what I saw. We all see different things as football fans, and we all have our own sort of takes on things and whatever else. So, I just saw Petrovic just dominating him at times. I didn't see many other players doing it to him, but Petrovic won the ball off him time and time and time again. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I say, but for me, on the wing, it isn't the right position for him. He just hasn't got that cut in, cut out, get down the wing, just, get at players and get to the byline and put a ball in and stuff. That didn't seem to me to be his bag, really. So, I say no question. There's a footballer in there, mate. He's obviously a talented man, and he obviously has got a lot of ability. Like I said, what just worries me is where are we going to use him? How are we going to use him? And if there's anyone that I would say I have the least amount of faith in to find the right way to make him work for us. Unfortunately, it's David Moyes, and that's not me criticising David Moyes in general.
Yeah.
That's not me criticising him as West Ham manager or just being harsh on him. I just think Moyes, if you've got a player who fits into a hole and plays the way that Moyes wants, then it works out. When Moyes has to find the best way to play someone and get creative, and that's when it typically goes wrong with him. That's just historical evidence has proven that Moyes, unless he stumbles across it, unfortunately the player gets pushed out, isolated, and then they end up leaving us for a fraction of what we paid for him. So
I think what's going to be better for him, mate, if they play him in the middle and Antonio's up front, Antonio's going to create space for him. I think that's going to work. I think the issue yesterday was he didn't maybe needed a bit of help from a target man and stuff. So if Antonio plays and carries on and kind of is busy dragging one or two centre-backs with him, that'll create pockets of space for Kudus to run into and get his shots on goal. I think that could work, but it is very important that we get the right striker in, really, Antonio or whoever that is. One more comment, then we're closing off. It could be, mate. It could be, yeah. He's one of those Ajax who's playing on the wrong side compared to his feet, and he's getting a lot of that, and that's what I saw with Mavropanos as well, mate. But anyway, Frankie, thank you for your time, mate. I think that was a good summary. Lots of interesting points of a couple of new players trying to settle into the team and see how the tactics go forward. Liverpool, because we don't sort of preview games as such. Any quick feelings on the Liverpool game, mate? Anfield.
I just hope that we do try and give them a game, mate. I think watching their last couple of matches, they're there to be got at. They didn't look good in the first half last night. They conceded a goal. Obviously, their last Premier League game was a similar scenario. I want us to go with no respect, mate. If we can be on our game and we can be up for it, we've got the ability to cause them a lot of problems. And as long as we don't do what these other teams have done, what the last two games they've played, a team's got their noses in front, sat back, and Liverpool have come out and finished them off. If we go 1-0 up, the important thing is to keep going, mate, is to keep pushing them and and to try and win the match, mate, instead of retreating like sometimes we do. So, mate, I've got hope. I have got hope. I do feel like we can get.
It's the tactics. It's the tactics Moyes uses. That's key, because they're going to be overconfident. Their fullbacks, I think Arnold's going to be back from injury. They're going to sit on the halfway line as they always do, thinking we're not going to come at them. But if we go at them, because they're going to say obviously that our fullbacks are the weak point, they're going to go down the channels, down the flanks. But if we use that to our advantage, because they're going to leave room. Arnold can't defend to save his life. You know that. He leaves loads of room at the back. They're going to have pace. We got to go with the right positive attitude, and it could be, if it's 3-3 at the end of it, it's 3-3. But the worst thing I want to do is just sit back and wait for them to score and then wake up, and then we lose by the odd goal, and then we say, we did try, didn't we? But you got to be on it from the first minute, I think. And I mean, don't laugh at Nunez. I got a lot of time for him, funny enough. I know he gets a lot of shit. I think that guy is dangerous, but he finishing is up and down with him. But he's one of those, on his day he can destroy you. But it's going to be a good game. We'll see what happens, mate. But you have a lovely Friday. Hope the little one gets better.
You.
You take care, mate. Catch up with you a couple of days. Take care. Bye.
Mate. Bye.
All right. Thank you, everyone.